we define exponential growth here at the Digital Growth Institute as when an individual or a team or an organization is growing personally and professionally together. You're like, well, how is an organization growing personally together? Well, consider the fact that your organization was made up of teams, which is made up of individuals, and those individuals, they want to have that perception that they are growing personally, that they are growing professionally. And the idea of work-life balance, I think, whether remote, in office, or hybrid, is still, it's extremely complex, if almost not even impossible,
Yeah.
because yes, you might work in an office, but are you bringing your work home? Oh, well, I'm not bringing my work home. My work stays at the office. Well, what about in your mind?
Yeah. And
How are,
vice versa.
and vice versa. Are you bringing your home to the office? And I appreciate what you're sharing through your own personal experience here, because we are in kind of a hybrid remote
Mm.
environment ourselves. um how do you create healthy boundaries to ensure that you have a good team? And what does that mean, this idea of team being the acronym of TEAM, because it is
Yeah.
a strategic thinking framework that can help set healthy boundaries.
Yeah. So TEAM is an acronym. It stands for time, energy, attention, and money. So we're looking at how are you investing your time? How do you spend your energy? What are you paying attention to? And how all of those together then impact and influence your relationship with money. So back to your question on creating, was it creating the boundaries?
It's creating it's using this type of a framework to begin to create healthy boundaries, because we are working towards exponential growth, growing personally, growing professionally. We do know that when we're struggling personally, it can impact us professionally.
Yeah.
When we're struggling professionally, it can impact us personally. But these questions of time, energy, attention, how you're investing time, how you're spending energy, what are you paying attention to, those will go on to really impact and influence the
Yeah.
relationship that we have even within our own financial lives.
Yeah. I think for me was really kind of doing, getting some awareness on, and we'll just start with time. I think time is probably the biggest one, the easiest one to really look at and assess, because I mean, you can track your days, your week, and you can see where you're spending or where you're investing your time. And for me, for a while there, the personal and professional balance, I was getting a little burned out and I was getting stressed out and felt like I wasn't giving 100% in either area. And so when I really looked back and did an assessment of where am I investing my time, I realized there were a lot of things or people that I was investing time into that were actually taking away from, and for me, my priorities at the time um, were, my children, being a good mother, and my role here. And I started to realize that there were other things that I was investing my time in that were negatively impacting. And so I had to really do an assessment. Are these things that I need in my life, that I need to be doing? Are these things that I want to be doing? Are these things that am I doing these things because I want a distraction?
Mm,
Because I want to escape maybe.
yes.
And so I had to really kind of get real with myself. And I made the commitment just about this time last year. And I said, if it's not moving me forward to be a better parent or a better employee, then I needed to cut it or make a pause or just really be careful about um, when I invest my time in those things. And, I've had to let some relationships go a little bit in my life, but I've had to be okay with that.
I want to really surface this idea of time being viewed as an investment.
Yeah.
Because I think we've all grown up saying and hearing, you're wasting time.
Hmm.
That's not the best way to spend your time. But time being viewed as an investment versus an expenditure, what's the difference here for consideration?
I think it depends. It's what you're getting out of it. It's what's coming out of that. When you're investing your time, there's a return on that in some way. When you're wasting it, that's those are just those fleeting moments where you look back and you're like, well, what did I get out of that? Just a personal example for me is it's television. I have cut out a lot of unnecessary television watching and like reality show watching. But I've started to kind of flip my thinking on it though, because look, there's nothing wrong with just relaxing and sitting on the couch for a little bit and indulging in a show, whether or not maybe it's stupid or not, getting your mind off of things. But I've started to kind of think and be a little bit more strategic about what I am watching so that it does feel more like an investment. And so a perfect example is my daughter. She's gotten into those like reality competition shows like Survivor and Big Brother. And so we'll watch one of those in the evening together. And for me, it's an investment for two reasons. I'm spending time with my daughter and we're bonding, but also it's become a big teaching experience.
Mm,
So we talk a lot about different types of people and the world and how to treat people because we'll see things on the show and we'll have conversations about it. So now it's not like, oh, I'm being lazy and I'm just watching some dumb reality show. It's no, we're getting something out of this time.
yeah. One of the things I often hear from individuals or leaders on a team that we're working with, and specifically when it comes to the digital growth blueprint, and I share findings and recommendations. They say, James Robert, that's a great idea, but we don't have time for that.
Yeah. And you know what that's code for? It's not a priority.
Mm. Why? And there goes time being an investment, because what we invest with our time today has the potential to be a massive payoff going forward into the future. The books, for example, banking on digital growth, banking on change specifically, that was a massive investment of time, even more so than the first book.
Yeah.
What prevents us from making investments of time into something that we might not see an immediate payoff in the present moment? Because I'm surfacing this because this model of really asking who's on your team, I I I think could become a key coaching framework, not just internally for
Yeah.
financial brand teams, but for those who also work with account holders to facilitate a conversation here. Because when we think about time being an investment, we just think about investment strategy as a whole. We know that investing for the future is challenging because we're having to invest for a future at the cost of a present, let's say dopamine hit, for lack of a better word, for like a present day
100. Yeah,
win.
instant gratification. I mean, we live in an instant gratification world where we've got so many things at our fingertips whenever we want. And it takes so much discipline to play the long game, to put in the work today, knowing that you may not see the payoff or the results for days, weeks, months, years, even.
One of the things that shapes my belief system now and my behavior is to consider playing a game in decades.
Mhm.
Um, because if you think about the arc span of life, historically, we're lucky to get 80 years, which is only 8 decades. That's not a lot of time in reality in the grand scheme. It's also too like when I think, you know, when our kids were small, time like crawled. Like
The
something the
days.
days are long, but the years are short. And now with the kids being 13, 11, 9, and 7, and everyone's about to age up and be 14, 12, 10, and 8, I'm understanding what that means more than what I could perceive when they were 5,
Yeah.
3, 1, and a newborn. It was like, good gosh, can we just get out of this stage? But it was almost to a detriment as well, because not being fully present in that moment, thinking that it's going to get better in the future. How do we reconcile that conflict? Because it's my hope for me personally. I can go from 8 decades and get to 15 decades with longevity and life extension. And I know some people are like, why would you want to live that long? Well, I love life. I love the shared experiences and creating and connecting with people. I mean, I'm very hopeful and optimistic for the future. In fact, we
Yeah.
really do live in the best time ever with all of the conflict, with all of the chaos going on. We still get to go to the grocery store, pick
Yeah.
up food.
Perception.